Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's Rabbi Stephen here, Rashbi in the house, with another one of my 10-minute Devar Torahs for you. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you're having a good holiday. Happy New Year, I suppose. I know it's secular, but everybody celebrates in this country, so why not? So, first of all, a couple of kudos to the people that are showing up for Saturday morning services. You know, Friday night, we typically have anywhere from 10 to 15 people. That's become a standard thing. And this is so different from the way it was a couple of years ago when sometimes we'd have 5 people coming to Friday night services. Saturday morning services, I kid you not when I tell you there were times when we had 3 or 4 people Saturday morning services. Last Saturday, we had a minyan, a full-on 10-person minyan. It's been great. And this is happening more and more. So something must be going on right. And if that's the case, we're going to keep it up. Again, if there's things you'd like to see, things you would not like to see, please let me know. But basically, we keep the Saturday morning services to just about 2 hours. And that's even if we have a Torah service. There's a little bit of a discussion on the Torah if there is a Torah service, but we tend to talk a little bit more about it when after the service. So thank you all for participating. Thank you all for being there. And thank you for being Jewish. I mean, thank you for observing your religion, doing what's expected of you, as they used to say in a karate class of mine, for observing Shabbat. And part of observing Shabbat is having that connection between Hashem and yourself, so that when you go back out for the week for your Shavuot Tov, then it's more meaningful and you feel like you've got that inner strength, that psychic strength. So thanks again. Very important, folks. Sunday, January 13th, 10 o'clock, we will have our mid-year meeting. Please be there. We're going to be discussing the future of the synagogue. We've got some momentum. Like I said, people are starting to come to services. Things are starting to happen. More and more people are coming in to see what we're doing and what we're about. So please come. Please come. It's very important. It's your synagogue. So participate and look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so a little collegiate today, my college sweater, Oswego, New York. It's where I graduated from. Like the sweater, but and of course I got a red yarmulke and a match. Always like to be fashionable, right? Hey, New York, right? What are you going to do? Okay, yarmulke matches the outfit. Okay, so not so much happiness for Moshe right now, Moshe Rabbeinu. We have the second portion of Shemot, of names, of Exodus, and Vaera. Moses finds himself in the thick of things. So here he is, about to go face Pharaoh and say, we all know the expression, let my people go. He goes to Pharaoh, let my people go, that they may serve their God in the desert. And of course, Pharaoh says no. Now, Moses is very tentative throughout the whole thing. And God assures him, okay? He gives him 4 sets of redemption. I will rescue you. I will take you out of slavery. I will rescue you from Egypt. I will redeem you with my commandments. And I will make you holy. So those 4 steps of redemption, those stages of redemption, are represented where? With the 4 cups of wine, Passover. Take you out of Egypt, remove you from slavery, take you out of Egypt completely, and make you my people, and I will take you as my people. Okay, those 4 qualities. So, of course, Moses is feeling very tentative. I mean, think about it. And I've always wrestled with this over the years. Here's this guy who is the greatest prophet we had. He had a communication with Hashem. It was like they text each other all the time. It's like the relationship you have with another human being in your household. And there's Moshe and God, and yet there's so much doubt on Moshe's part. But think about it. How comfortable would you be to walk into the court of a king? Now, yes, Moses was raised in royalty, and there's some discussion on the Midrash, on the movie, the 10 Commandments, that Moses knew all the people in the court because he was part of royalty. And by the way, probably without that background, he couldn't have done what he did. Any run-of-the-mill Israelite or Levite couldn't go up to the court. They'd be like, who are you? But Moses kind of had a little bit of clout, right? He was part of the Egyptian high society. He was part of Egyptian rulership. He was raised by royalty, so he could go in there and he could demand a Pharaoh. He could say, let my people go. We want to serve our God. We want to spend a few days out in the wilderness sacrificing, and we want to go out there because, the Egyptians see us sacrificing sheep, which they consider gods. It's kind of like in India, the Muslims eating cow in front of the Hindus. It's going to cause a religious riot, right? So God kind of said, well, you'll go with your older brother Aaron. Okay? So now it's kind of two against the court. So now he's got an ally. Makes it a little bit easier. And of course, Pharaoh scoffs at him because Pharaoh's a god, right? He's a god king. Goes and looks over the Nile every morning, right? Check the water level, maybe, to relieve himself so people don't see that he's human. Maybe that too. Who knows? And Pharaoh scoffs at him. I know not your God. And in a way, he was being real. So he tells Moses, no, we're not going to give up our slaves. Forget it. And in fact, because you had the audacity to challenge us, guess what? Now your people are going to have to make bricks without straws. And I've talked about this over the years, that if you're a construction manager, if you own a construction company and you're building a building, don't you want your people to use the best materials available? Okay, well, maybe no straws are punishing the Israelites because they still have to do the bricks, but it's going to slow down production, isn't it? And you're trying to make a quality building here, something that's going to be a testament to you for all time. And that's why, people say, well, the Jews built, the Hebrews built the pyramids, they built that. Folks, it was back-breaking work. The whole point of it was to basically break the back of the Israelites and work them to death. That was the whole idea. It's a lot more socially acceptable for Pharaoh to go to his people and say, well, we got these slaves, and I guess the work was just too much for them, rather than said, hey, just let's kill everybody. And, of course, we've seen that in modern times, and it was a little bit different situation. So maybe that's a topic for another discussion. So Moses and Aaron leave, and this is after Aaron took his staff, threw it down, became a snake. Pharaoh summoned his magicians. They did the same thing. Their staffs become snakes, and then Aaron's staff or Moses' staff ate the other snake, swallowed them up, and nobody was impressed. So off they go. So first plague was the blood. The blood in the Nile River. The Nile was a god. The Egyptians revered this because they're living in a drought situation, right? They're living in desert. And they depend on the Nile, which comes up from, Africa, where it's a little bit more plush, and feeds into the Mediterranean, and this is their water. Without water, life is impossible. I mean, you can go without eating for a week, but, go without water for a couple of days, forget it. You're going to die of, it's not going to work. So, very important. So that was the first one. You think people get it, but Pharaoh was stubborn. So he sends the other plagues to him. The next one was the frogs, the Sephardim. Now, depending on which sage you look at, when during Passover, we dip our finger in there and in the wine, and we remove some of it for the plagues, and we say frogs. Some people thought it was crocodiles, and hence the ancient Egyptian Hebrew to the modern Hebrew to translating it into English. A lot of those words get lost over the years. It's exactly what they are, but some people felt it was crocodiles. Either way, the frogs went everywhere, and the midrash, part of the folklore, is that somebody went to beat the frog, and it turned into 2 frogs, and then 3, and then 4, and then frogs were everywhere, croaking all over the place in their food, in their ovens. If it was crocodiles, it'd be another issue, right? Because it's pretty dangerous. But either way, it made its point. There were boils, there was locusts, there was cattle disease, there were wild beasts coming in, all sorts of things, and yet Pharaoh's heart was still hard. So his heart was still hard. And you think maybe he would have gotten it by then. He didn't. Remember, he had his reputation. I mean, think of it from Pharaoh's point of view, okay? If he would have relented, then maybe the people wouldn't have respected him as much. Or they would have thought, well, the Hebrew God, or this God that the Hebrews revere as Adonai, is more powerful than anything we can put in front of him. Okay? Maybe that would have been the way to save face. Of course, on the other hand, if he had just said, yeah, okay, we've used you people for over 100 years, it's time to go. Okay, whatever. But, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's why we need rules. That's why we have those commandments, because you follow your heart, you follow your eyes, and you forget about morality. You forget about integrity and character and all the things that are right. You just do what you want to do. If there's no check on your power, and you consider yourself all-powerful, Look at the devastation. I mean, this guy just decided he was going to imprison the Israelites. He felt threatened. It's not like our government where you have a president and then you've got Congress and then you've got the judicial acting as checks on each other. And the people, they didn't question their Pharaoh. Pharaoh was a god. They wouldn't question him. So he hardens his heart, and then God does to him as he wants after a few plagues. And God hardens his heart. What you put out there, you get back. You follow the path of righteousness, you get righteousness back. You follow the path of evil, you get evil. Okay? One last thing. So the kids are on break from our Hebrew school now, and so for part of our Torah study, we looked ahead at some of the things, and the question came up. Good one, Bob. Okay, why are we reading this particular portion now? Isn't Passover another 3 or 4 months away, and what's going to be the Torah portions there? Well, the answer to that question is that when it's Passover, we do special portions that incorporate Pesach. So that's the answer to the question. It goes back, one of the special Torah readings. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you again for listening. As you see, I've been recording my sermons as well. Hope you enjoy that. And again, don't forget, January 13th, Sunday, 10 o'clock, meeting. See you there. And thanks again for all your comments and your support.